The plot thickens with the sub.
Confluence is a connected workspace where teams can do it all.
Now, I did go on here last night, and I did explain some, last night. So I want to talk about what happened over the last 2 days. When I cried the other day, I cried because some new people had joined the people using. See, what they're doing to me is called destiny swapping. When somebody destiny swaps you, what they do is they make you extremely miserable, and then they try to steal things from your destiny. And then what I've also experienced is someone naming, I don't know whether they use a voodoo doll, like I said, but what they'll do is they'll have, what I know one person did, which was the NASCAR driver's wife. Every time she does something where when they have sex, it projects torture and torment onto someone else. So she did that, and then I think some other people did that too. It's a bunch of stuff that they do during Satanism that they don't tell the public. It's only for people who really take that. Some things are for people who sign the contract. There's a contract that they sign, and some people go back and forth to the underworld with the tails and they mermaids and that kind of thing. And then it's people who don't sign the contract, who they be like slaves. They go around being slaves and they do the rituals for people who do Satanism. So they'll go do the rituals and they'll set everything up. So the person who's the Satanist that's getting the applause and stuff, they don't do they'll have somebody else go out and find prostitutes they have to sleep with, or set up the whole ritual where they'll eat a baby. They'll have that person cook the baby. Once the babies are delivered, y'all need to learn about Satanism, because them people y'all clapping for are Satanists. All them politicians in the government, them say, not all of them are Satanists. Now that's true, but a bunch of them are. The government is a bunch of Satanists. The celebrities are Satanists. Y'all clapping for them people, and they are Satanists. They are pure evil. Pure evil. And they are killing people all over the place to get those positions in government, to get those positions in the entertainment businesses. They killing people, and they causing a lot of torture and torment. And shame on y'all for that girl that was against, went to court with Beyonce, to tell y'all what Beyonce and them did, and y'all just laughed at her or talked about that court case, not understanding she really was suffering. You know, she honestly was suffering. And when you look at her now, you can tell they've been poisoning her spirit. Because what Satanism do is it poisons people's souls. Their spirits. It poisons the projection of the person. We're sound projections that is projected light. So it's sound which projects light, and we're on a grid. We're on an atmosphere grid. So what I teach is how to map out that atmosphere grid also. Or what I know is how to perceive and see that atmosphere grid. And yes, I'm going back to videos, so I can start teaching my classes again. And I might start teaching classes just privately, and I don't charge any physical currency for the classes. All the classes are spiritual currency. But and it's not the kind of satanic spiritual currency. It's if you want to learn the spiritual, that kind of thing. And then the charge will be like in your own spirit with the spiritual, the things that you learn and perceive, that kind of thing, in the way that you process and actuate the wisdom. Well, either way, The crazy thing about my hair is the people who are satanic that mess with me, a bunch of them African. And wild thing was, y'all don't know how hurtful it was for me to find out it was a bunch of Africans doing Satanism, and that part of the reason why, for 4 entire centuries, we've been oppressed. It's been because of the brown people who do Satanism with the beige people. So when y'all dig deep down and do your own deep dive and find that out, it's gonna be some interesting shit to happen. Because yeah, when we dig deep down and we find out who really it's the betrayals that are hurting us. It's the betrayals. It's not only the beige people who do Satanism and project curses. It is the brown people who do those curses with them, that look like us, that even talk like us. They lie and they talk like us, but they not us. They not with us, and they don't do for us. And y'all better look at some of them African presidents. Some of them African presidents are Satanists. Them 2 Kenyans, them Satanists. The Afro-Kenyan president, he's a Satanist. He doing some evil stuff, and they doing evil stuff over there, and they not helping it. And there's some other presidents over there that are very much Satanists, doing a lot of very evil things in order to continue with those positions. So when you look at that, they the same as the beige. They not different either. And matter of fact, to me, sometimes I feel like they might be worse because they understand what happens to us every day, and they still willing to do that, to sit up next to them beige people who do terrible things to us and have the same stuff. So, and if you realize that they ask for the same thing, they do the same curses, they the same evils. So we are hues of men in that way too. When someone is evil, it does not make a difference what hue they are. And a bunch of the celebrities that y'all worship, even though they our hue and darker, some of them don't even like brown people. Okay, it's some comedians, some very famous comedians. He don't even honestly like brown people, but he's still famous, you know. So I'm like, I mean, you know, and it's, y'all understand, there's some people that y'all gotta pay attention because it's so blatant. It's right in front of your faces. They talk about it. Listen to the things that they say. They say what they do, but they say it with a different inflection. So you listening to that stuff just like they say, but it's the witchcraft that's making you hear the inflection and not the words. So listen to the words. Pay attention to the words. And if you pay attention to the words, they'll tell you what they're doing. So many of them that's in the entertainment industry, and if they're not in the entertainment industry, I'm just gonna tell you, most of the billionaires, them Satanists. If not all of them, they all Satanists. Because there was a time during that 4 centuries of colonization all over the world, that's when they were setting their satanic network together. So once that satanic network got set up all over the world, they were filtering out any good people from any positions that held any kind of stature, that held any kind of fame, for any really honestly good reason. So anybody who did get any kind of fame for any good reasons have had a very hard time of it. They've had a bunch of tribulations that some of the Satanists have not had, and a bunch of them are dead. Because Satanism is actually a sinister, extremely evil thing. It is the purest of evils, and there isn't an evil that some of those people won't do. So a lot of y'all are mad, as I said. You know, Kamala Harris had to go Satanist to be president. You know, y'all can shut down what's happening because people, not just y'all, because we can build a mountain of strength. So with a mountain of strength, it shuts that down, but the mountain of strength has to be Shango. So it's about learning the spirituality to build that mountain of strength that needs to shut that down, because other than that, without the wisdom, you're not going to get people to understand what Christianity is. Christianity is Satanism. So you need wisdom to know Christianity is Satanism. You need to know exactly what it is, because a person will tell a Christian that, but they'll swear that Christianity has power because, yes, the sacred texts have power. Those scripts in the Bible have actual power. And so they have observed that power via Christianity and not through And so with that lens of that power that those scripts have, it's hard for people to believe that Christianity is Satanism. But until they detach themselves from that also, it's going to be hard to have a perception of what things are really happening. So yeah, just that, doing videos and getting ready to post some things. Um, and there's some things happening over there in Africa because they're starting to understand what Satanists are doing to them. It is way past the time for those things to be happening here and for people to understand what Satanism is doing to them. So it'd be good for people to perceive and pay a little more attention. When y'all perceive and pay a little more attention, going to work somewhere to make some evil person rich ain't going to be important no more. And the thing that's going to be important is feeding your soul and cultivating heaven and heaven of heavens. So that's already important to me, and it should be important to everyone. And there'll be Satanists that'll try to attack me. Something happened with my hair. Someone projected Satanism on me. My hair came out overnight in certain places, and they know that. So there are people in my comments that will comment in ways because they Satanists and they know that I'm doing what I'm doing. And then it's the CIA. Please do some research on the CIA and learn that they are Satanists. They were started from Satanism. They Satanism now. And so that's why people always talk about pedophile rings, because Satanists attack children, and that's that pedophile ring. And I just saw this video, and I'm finna do some more research on this video, and the article about how they connected P. Diddy to, what's that guy with the island? Epstein. Because there's a whole bunch of connections to these kind of things with the people who did Satanism, because P. Diddy definitely did Satanism, and those parties was to generate that satanic energy for his rituals. And so because they were doing all those kind of things, all that stuff is connected, that's connected to the CIA. And they say, and I've heard somebody say, is NASCAR people been into Satanism, which is believable, If you all understood, it was one driver, every car on the track in front of him had a car accident for him to run a race, and he is a major satanic evil person who does a bunch of evil via Satanism. And I think after that, they wouldn't let him race no more, because they realized after I started talking about him being into Satanism, that he had done that. Because I'd been telling people, everybody on the track is in danger if somebody is going to Satan and asking to win a race or something like that. And there's a bunch of different things too. Be wary, because they do like to murder the innocent. So if it's a Satan that's going around murdering, they're gonna murder innocents. And then they're gonna try their hardest to give them Satanist kids. So don't be aware that a bunch of the Satanists do have children, because they encourage that. They encourage them to kill other people's children and then push out evil kids of their own. And a bunch of the kids who are satanic kids, they stay in the Satanism because that's what they were birthed for. Because they birthed through that spirit. Now, that doesn't mean all of them do, but that does mean that some of them do, because, they do encourage them to have kids, and they'll kill a whole bunch of the innocent kids in order to replace them with people susceptible. And it doesn't necessarily mean that a person is born evil, killing people, but it does mean that they are susceptible for those spirits to get them to kill people if they are born of Satanists or born out of evil. They are extremely, definitely susceptible to also murder a bunch of innocent people and do a bunch of evil things also. And so that's, I'm just getting up this morning, and I haven't eaten, I haven't put on makeup, on none of that. And I just had something to say this morning because somebody was trying to curse on me. But it's not working. But I can perceive them. I can perceive who's cursing and who it is. And be wary of people. There's some people going around telling a bunch of stuff who's using Satanism while they telling. And one of the ways you can find out, look at their eyelashes. Look at their eyelids. If the eyelid real short, it's that and a bunch of other things, but that's one of the major ways you can tell somebody is Satanist. because people with real short eyelids don't have no compassion. So there's some people right now going around doing interviews telling on Satanists who are also Satanists and using Satanism to do those interviews and have people not see that they also do the same things with people that they telling on. So I always talk about physiognomy and that kind of thing too, because that's a part of how a person should be able to perceive whether or not somebody is satanic. And we need these things because our next level, when we start to get into space travel and become a part of that galactic community, which people are acting like they don't want to be ready for right now because they letting Satanists do a whole bunch of things and influence a bunch of things that they shouldn't. And so one of the major things that you need to know is that people have not gotten to space yet because Satanists can't be in charge for us to evolve. So I'm going to say that again. You got to evolve past having satanic people run your governments in order to evolve. That's why y'all ain't been to space. So if you want to go to space, you have to evolve past